So now we've developed a very good basic database. We started off with an idea. We created a data dictionary on paper that listed all the fields and information that we might want to keep track of. We then created a master table called orders master and another one called driver master. And we had data in Excel actually for the orders. We cleaned it up with individual column headings, one line that matched up nicely with what we're about to do on orders master, and that comes from the data dictionary. So we created this table and it had all of the data that was imported in. And we also then managed to create some forms. So we created a master form for orders, took the time to make it look reasonably nice. All the drop down boxes work. We use all sorts of aesthetic features to make it user friendly. We put buttons to go back and forth, save, close, and we can add additional buttons as well. We added conditional formatting. We formatted some of these fields for decimals and so on. And that's fine. We can use this on a daily basis by scrolling back and forth either here or here. We can do filters, and that's about it. This is a good user-friendly way to interact with the data most of the time. However, you might want to do additional things to the data. So if I close this and go back to the order master table, then take a look. You could do a few things. For example, I could click inside customer, click on this arrow up here, and that's called the auto filter arrow, and sort the data. Sort it low to high, high to low, and that's one way to look at it. You can also go and filter the data by unchecking, and let's say I only want South Mart and Walmart. I can click that, or use text filters, for example, does not equal equals, begins with, and so on. Let's click OK. So we only get Walmart and South Mart. Now within that, I only want a product that is Bringa, and I'm only getting Bringa sold to Walmart and South Mart that happens to be NAFTA. So I click here and I choose true. So true is when it's a checkbox. Checkbox means yes or true. Click OK, and it's only giving you Bringa product sold to Walmart, South Mart that is NAFTA regulated, right? Now let's go over to order date and see what we could do with that. Click on the auto filter arrow, and you could select only specific dates here, sort them high to low, low to high, or let's go to date filters, and I want to see any orders that we sold after a specific date. So you can either type the date in or choose a calendar, and I'm just going to go back to June. Anything sold after June 15th. So a little trick I like to use, if the date is way back, like 1998, you don't have to keep going back and forth. Just pick the date in the current year and then change the year to whatever you want. It's a lot easier, right? Let's click OK. And I'm getting about 7 or 8 records that are Bring a Product, Walmart or South Mart, that are NAFTA regulated, and the date is as specified. And that's okay. You can have that view, not a problem. But you really don't want to mess with this data. You want to leave it alone. You can't, I mean, what are you going to do? Just keep doing this and copying and pasting it? Right? What I like to do is use queries to do the same thing, so I can permanently save them, and I could use them in a variety of different ways. So let me show you the toggle filter button. We did this filter. I can toggle back to the original data, toggle back. But you know what? How many of those can you possibly do? Just one. Let's clear all this out. If you go to advanced, click the arrow, let's clear all the filters, and it puts your data back the way it was. Let's not mess with this again, right? Chances of making errors are greater when you come back here. So let's close this. I won't save the changes. And I want to create some queries that will appear over here. So you go to the Create tab, and you got two choices. Query Wizard or query design. Now you can play with the wizard later. You might like it, I'm not sure, but I like to do query design. It's the best, most functional way to do it. So click, and the first thing it will ask you is the query or the questions that we're about to ask of the data. Where is that data? Is it in any of these mini tables? Well, probably you're not going to do a query on a country because it's just one column list of countries. You could do it on driver or orders master. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to add it, and you'll see all the fields will show up here. Now you could do a query based on two tables at the same time, like orders and driver. So for example, I might want Bringa orders that were shipped to Walmart, and I'm trying to figure out which driver damaged all the goods. I could do that as long as the two tables are linked, and they are, right, through a primary key. So I'm just going to use orders masters for now, right? Close it. Now, first part down here, you have to tell the query what fields or what columns of information you want to see. So I want to see the product. I want to see the customer. I want to see NAFTA. I want to see the order date, and let's see the quantity and the revenue as well. Now I should tell you, you can also perform calculations right inside the query, and I'll show that to you later on, right? So take a look. I'm going to see these 6 columns. It's not a query right now because we haven't specified any criteria. It's just going to give me all the data. So step 1, you want to save this, give it a reasonably good name, and I will call this high value sales. And you can have as many of them as you like, and you see it appears under here in the query area, right? So let's click this red run button, and it's going to show us all the data. There's no query yet. It's giving us all the data, but only those 6 pieces of information, right? So let's go back to design view, and this time I'm going to say, okay, give me only orders where the quantity is greater than 600. Okay, that's it. I just want to see all quantities that are greater than 600. I'm going to save it. I'm going to run it and take a look. All these quantities are greater than 600. Okay, and the products are different, and the customers are different, and so on. Let's go back to design view. I want all greater than 600 quantities that are NAFTA regulated. So yes is the word you're looking for. If you put yes, it means yes, NAFTA is going to be checked, right? Let's have a look. Run it, and you notice that all of the NAFTAs are checked, right? Go back, and I want customers that are Walmart. So if I put Walmart, here's how you read it. As long as all the criteria are in one line, it means all of them have to be true, meaning it'll only look for customers that at the same time are NAFTA regulated, who also have a quantity of greater than 600. Let's take a look. And you can verify it's only Walmart, all NAFTA, quantities greater than 600. So let's go back to design view, and let's do revenue is greater than $5,000. So those are high value sales. Click, let's run it, let's take a look. We're getting quite a few records, okay? Now I'm going to go further, and I only want to look at those records for Indigo. So I'm going to put the product Indigo. And actually I want more than just Indigo. I want Indigo space or Bringa. So if you put the word or between 2 items in the same line, it's going to look for either Indigo or Bringa, and it has to be Walmart. So Indigo and Walmart and NAFTA and greater than 600 and greater than 5,000 for revenue, or Bringa and Walmart and NAFTA and greater than 600 quantity and greater than 5,000 revenue, right? Now you can achieve the same thing by doing this. I'm just going to get rid of Bringa from here. You can put Bringa down here because that's again an or, right? Bringa, but then you have to repeat Walmart. You have to repeat yes. You have to repeat 600, and you have to repeat greater than 5,000, right? That's okay, and you're limited. There's only so many of, I believe it's 8. You can only do about 8 of these. So you want to creatively use the one line to do ands and or. Let's do this. We'll leave it like that. I'm going to put an or over here. And I'm going to put Southmart as well. And by the way, spelling does count. You have to spell it exact. So I want this or Southmart, and all of this true. Now for Bringa, I just want Walmart, and it doesn't have to be NAFTA, so I'll get rid of it, and I'm looking for items that are greater than 7,000. So I'm looking for all these high-end invoices for 2 of my key products, Indigo and Bringa, but I'm playing around with different customers and so on. So let's take a look at what we get. Save it, run it, and I'm getting quite a few records here. And again, once you get here, you can sort them, you can filter them here as well. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Let's go back to design view, and that's not a pretty bad query, right? Let's close this and let's do a new one. Let's do query design. Choose the orders master table, and let's see, I want to see product, I want to see customer, let's put order date, revenue, and let's do kilometers this time, right? Let's do shipped kilometers. And I don't know what else we could add here. Let's see, let's do driver. Okay, there we go. So I want to see any order date that is greater than January 1st, 2015. So any orders after January 1st, 2015. And notice when I click out, it gives me these hashtags, and that's fine. Just keep it that way, right? So let's have a run, and let's see. We're getting an awful lot of records, right? And I'm going to go back to design view, and I want to say any shipments where the kilometers are greater than 500, which are long haul shipments. And let's run it and let's take a look. Yeah, we're getting there. But you know what? I want to identify this driver who's cleared to run orders that are high value, and I'm not sure though the name of the driver. So I could pretend like, if was it Fritco? I don't know. I could try that. I'm obviously not going to get anything, so let's take a look. Yeah, there's no driver named Fritco. I could go back to my data and search for it, but take a look. I know the name of the driver starts with FR. I just remember that. So all I have to do is say FR and put a star next to it. And that's called a wildcard character. So FR and anything after it. Now look what happens when you click out. It gives you the word like, right? So it's going to look for anything that is FR something something. Let's go here. And didn't find any driver who starts with FR. So I'm going to just change that to F. Maybe it started with F. Maybe I'll get somebody. Let's run it. And there we go. There is, oh, it is Fisher. That's right. I remember that, right? And likewise, you could go here and say, I remember the customer name. I'm not sure what it was, but I think it ended in ON. So you can put star ON. And this time it's going to ignore what's at the beginning, but only go to the end to look for the letters ON. Let's run it. And there we go. It found Fisher, the driver, and Fisco. Look at that. Fisco also starts with F. And the, oh yeah, my customer is ON. So however you use that, you be creative about it. It could save you a lot of time in terms of figuring out the exact wording of a value that you had in a large amount of data, right? So let's save this, and we'll call this long haul shipments. Now, I want to do one more. I'm going to close it, go to create, query design, and let's do the driver master table right now. Now we have a few records in driver, but we can still manage to do something. So we want driver name. Let's add postal code, TDG, forklift, Nexus, and we will add, let's put credit card limit. Okay, so there we go. We've got 6 columns of information. So I'm going to save this first and call this TDG drivers. So I want to come up with the list of people who could carry long haul shipments, who are transportation of dangerous goods certified, who can drive a forklift, and that's because our customer sometimes wants us to operate the forklift to unload the car. And because they're just-in-time shipments, I want people to have a Nexus card as well. Let's do this. Forget the driver name. Let's do TDG equals yes, forklift equals yes, and Nexus equals yes. And the credit card limit is anything more than $1,000, right? So let's see who we get. Let's run it, and we're getting one guy named Walker. Okay, so go back to design view. Let's take the credit card limit off, and let's take Nexus off as well. And we're getting 3 people, right? So the demonstration here is, what if you wanted to search certain thing like a postal code? Okay, let's say you had a large amount of data, a lot of customers, a lot of postal codes, and you're trying to pinpoint any customer whose postal code begins with. So I don't know if you know this, but if you have a person's postal code or company's postal code, you can actually map out exactly right down to the street corner where the location is. There's software that can let you do it. So I want to search for any postal code that starts with the K, and of course if you put a star after it, it'll get you all the values that are like K, right? So I'm getting one person, Walker. So what if you wanted to search for a postal code where you knew the first letter and the third letter, but you didn't know the number in between? Because a postal code might look something like this, K7M1J7, right? But what if I knew that the postal code started with the letter K, had some number in between, I'm not really sure what it is, put the question mark, and then I knew the next letter was a D, and then there's 3 more letters after it, so I'll put a star. So anything starts with the K, followed by one number or one character, and then a D, and then something else. So it's going to look for anything that meets that criteria. Let's have a look. So we're getting this one driver, Walker, who is K9D. We don't have that much data in there. So you can play around with that and search for all sorts of different things. Now you could have done this as well. You could put star ended in number 8, and you'll get all postal codes that end in the number 8. And we're getting, of course, 3 records here. So you want to kind of play around with that as well. Okay. Now I'm going to close this. Just save it and close it. Go back to create, query design. Let's do one based on order master. I'm going to build one that's a little bit more complex for you. Okay, so let's do product customer. Let's do NAFTA, order date, and let's do we'll do revenue and quantity. So they don't have to be in any sort of order. So let's see. I want any product that is Bringa, because that's a special product all on its own. But Fluky or Indigo are very similar products, and I'm going to group them together. So I'm going to search for anything that's Bringa or Fluky or Indigo, right? So, and I could put Bringa, Fluky, Indigo in 3 different lines if I wanted to, but it's more efficient this way. Now I'm also looking for Bringa sold to any customer that is Walmart. And actually, to save space, I could just put Wal star or South, and I'll just put a star because we know there's Walmart or Southmart. And in this case, also Bexon, so BEX, and I'll put a star. As a matter of fact, you know what? I'm just going to put star X star to capture anything that has an X in it, because I don't know how to spell Bexon just yet. But for Fluky and Indigo, I only want where the customer is Walmart. And again, let me just show you. I could just type in Walmart as well, or Southmart. Okay, same thing. I want them to be NAFTA regulated only if they are Bringa, because Bringa we sell in the US, Fluky, Indigo we don't. And the order date, so I only want orders that were made after January 1st, 2016. Right? And in this case, I only want orders that were made after January 1st, 2016 as well. And you can always copy and paste these down if you like. I want revenue that is greater than $500, and for this I want revenue that is greater than $300 because these are worth more, and maybe quantity more than 50 and quantity greater than or equal to 75. So the demonstration here is you can play with the whole variety of different criteria to get certain results. So let's save this. And let's have a look. We've got a lot of different records here, and that's good, and we're just about to narrow those down. So go back to view, and you know what? Let's make this greater than 150, and let's make this greater than or equal to 175. And let's see. So again, we've got quite a few records. Let's go back. I'm going to save it, and let me just show you how to do a calculation, okay? So I showed you how to do a calculation in the order master table by changing the field type to calculated. You can do similar thing within a form, but you can do one right on the query as well. Now when you do a calculated field in a query, you can't actually then use it backwards in one of these tables. You could use it on a form though. But you know what, generally you decide. It's better to just put the calculated field in the table in the first place if you're going to use it over and over. So let's have a look. This is what I'd like to do right in the query. So I'm going to create a calculation here which is going to take quantity and multiply it by 50 cents. So for every unit shipped, we're going to reserve 50 cents for damages or incidentals, okay? Now you can't just type the word quantity in because it is a field name. Field names go in square brackets, and type it in exact, right? Quantity. Close the bracket, and I'm going to multiply this by 0.50. That's 50 cents. Now click outside and you'll see the word EXPR1. That just means expression 1. It's Access's way of saying it's protected. It is a calculation, but you're allowed to change that. And we'll call this allowance. Okay? And you could do a criteria on it as well. So let's run it and let's take a look. It actually calculated the allowance for you. I'll go back to view. And let's take a look. If you right click on this field name right here, the one you just created, you can go to properties, and of course you can change the format to currency if you like. Okay, so let's have a look. Save it, run it, and that looks pretty darn good. So we have a query that we're happy with. We're going to save it, we're going to close it, and take a look. We've got 4 different queries here. Now, like I said, you can use these queries directly inside another table. I mean, these in fact are tables. You can create forms just based on these queries. So if you wanted this data to look nice and pretty, you can just create a form based on it. So when you go to create form, choose that as your source of data. Okay, but I want to show you an interesting thing. Let's say that you're always on the orders master form and you always want to look up high value sales, right? You don't have to actually do this. Go to the form, close, go to high value sales, have a look at it, close it. Here's what you can do. Let's go to order master form. Let's go to design view. And I'm actually going to add a button here that will be high value sales. So do you remember the button up here in the design tab? Click it. Let's just put it here for now. And it's going to ask you what category and what action do you want to take. Let's go into miscellaneous, and it will say run query. Okay, so if you run query next, it's going to ask you which query do you want to run. High value sales next. What do you want the button to look like? Well, the pictures don't really mean much to me, so I'm going to actually put words on it. High value sales. All right, click next and finish. You got a button here. Let's take a look. I don't know where I should move it. Let's just keep it right about there, because I might have 2 or 3 in a row, right? And again, I'd like to put the little rectangle. Let's do that. And there we go. Okay, that's going to look pretty good. Think it'll work? Let's try. Save it. Go back to this view and click. So it does go back. Now here's the problem. Take a look. Your form is still open, right? You can still go back and forth. You'd have to close this to go back here. And one of the rules in Access is, especially when you're building and designing, is if something is open, you should really close it before you go to the next thing. So in a later tutorial called Dashboard, you're going to see how to create a button that'll not only, when you click on it, it'll close this and then open up the query. Okay, so you can do 2 or 3 steps all in one case. It's called a macro. So we're going to see that later on. So you got a pretty good database going right now. The next tutorial is going to show you how to create reports, because let's face it, you don't want to print this off all the time. Looks way too much like Excel. So we're going to look at some reports.